Hi, this is Steph with Belladonna Dyes, and today we're going to make a rust orange spiral. Start by smoothing out as many wrinkles as you can, and then decide where you want the center of your spiral to be and give it a little pinch. And I'm using the microwave splatter guard and a hemostat to create my spiral. So I give the hemostat one click. It does not need to be overly tight. You don't want to tear a hole in your shirt, and also don't press it really hard into the table. You can poke right through the fabric. I give the hemostat 2, 3, 4, 5 twists just to get the spiral started, and then I use my opposite hand to create the pleats. So if you notice, I sort of pull the shirt out and around, and the hemostat just holds the center of the spiral in place. I go as far as I can using the microwave splatter guard until I can't go any farther. I unclick the hemostat, hold down the center of the spiral, and gently wiggle it out. Now I like to secure my spirals by using rubber bands, and I'm using my favorite rubber bands in the color purple, and I do have a link for them down below in the description box, so go ahead and check that out. Once I get 2 or 3 rubber bands on the spiral, then I like to tighten it up because there's all these loose tails sticking out. So I pull on the loose tail and I tuck them into the nearest rubber band. That way it creates a nice tight spiral. So if you have to pick it up or flip it or move it, it's not going to fall apart on you. Sometimes when I'm tightening up my spiral, it can get a little bit wonky. You sort of see how some of those pleats were kind of going a little bit at an angle. I have noticed that those do show up in the final product. Now, if you're able to have wonky pleats and they still turn out like a nice circle, great. For me, it doesn't work out so much. So try to make your spiral as round as possible. So now it's time to create some type of an ice barrier, and I like to use these silicone cake molds. And yes, there is a link down below in the description box with everything that I use, just like with the rubber bands. They're quick and easy, and you can wash them off and reuse them, and that's what I really like about them. And if there are any little tidbits sticking out, the cake molds will just pick those up so that the spiral is nice and round. Now it's time for the fun part and my favorite part. We get to add the dye. And rust orange is a Dharma Trading Company color, and it's off their special order dye list. So the special order dyes, you have to order 5 pounds at a time, so 5 pounds or more, and it's really expensive, and that is a lot of dye. So you can buy small quantities of dye if you go over to Facebook, Tie-Dye Supplies Marketplace. It's a Facebook group, and make sure you do click follow when you're there. But there are a lot of wonderful people in that group that are selling small amounts of the special order dyes. And there is a link down below in the description box that will take you right over there. And currently I'm ordering from Kathy Greger. She is fully stocked and ready to go and has all of the colors, like all of the zombie dyes and the Christmas colors. She has all of those. So for this particular spiral, I'm making it a 3-line spiral. So I'm going to be doing these 3 pieces of the pie, and I try to make them all about the same size. Just do the best that you can. So I just use a plastic picnic spoon. This spoon happens to be from Baskin & Robbins. It's pink and it's cute and I really like it. I sprinkle some on, and then I use the back of my spoon to smooth it out. Now you want to try to keep it off of the white area. You see there how I've got some on the white. That's a total bummer, but it's not the end of the world. So just have fun with it. Next, I give the dye areas a quick little sprinkle of soda ash for good measure. You could sprinkle your whole shirt if you want, but I'm really just trying to focus on the areas where I want the dye to stick. You know, the shirt's already been pre-soaked in soda ash, so it really is just for good measure. And for this project, I'm using my hexacubes. So I start with the areas that have the dye on them, just so I can gain control of that area. And then I'm going to ultimately cover the entire project with these cubes. Now, if you order these trays, I recommend that you let them sit out on the table for like a minute. It really makes it a lot easier to get all of the cubes out. And then I have found that if I empty them into my little ice bowl, it's just a lot easier than standing over the project. I have accidentally dropped ice cubes trying to get them out because they become slippery. And then, you know, dye goes flying. So you'll find what works best for you, but this is what works best for me. So this video is going to go into the playlist of Dharma's special order dyes, like the single color ice dyes. I'm going to be swatching these out. Now, for those of you that follow the channel, you know that I have the playlist of the regular Dharma dyes, and I have a liquid swatch that accompanies them. I'm not going to have that with these dyes, not yet. I have not made liquid dyes for these colors, and I'm really not interested in doing any liquid dyeing at this time. Now, down the road, maybe I will, but for right now, I'm just going to be showing what ice dyeing is capable of. Now, this particular color, I have made a watercolor ice dye when the zombie dyes were really popular, and I can tell you that they are two totally different looking shirts, completely different looking colors. So if you have not seen that video, I do recommend that you check it out. It is in the playlist. But I'm getting back into it, so I'm going to be starting at the top of the special order dyes and working my way all the way through it. And if you haven't seen the regular dyes swatch list, I am into the reds on that one, so I'm going to also be diving feet first into that and getting that up and running again. Because when these playlists are finished, it's going to be a really great tool to have to be able to see what the shirt looks like in action. So make sure that you check that out. It's probably a good idea to wear gloves when you add your ice, but whatever. So these foil pans leak, so make sure that you set them down inside of something that can catch all the melting water. That way you don't come back in the morning and find that all of your muck water has landed on the floor. That's a terrible experience. And then it's recommended that you let your project batch at 70 degrees or higher for at least 24 hours after the ice melts, and I let this project batch for the full 48 hours. So when it comes to these single color ice dyes, I try not to flip them if I don't have to, and you can see here on the back it had really good saturation, so I definitely did not need to flip it. So now it's time for the rinse out process, and I start by using cold water to rinse away any soda ash that might still be reacting within the fabric, and then I increase my water up to hot, and I rinse until the water runs pretty much clear. And I really do make sure to focus on the white areas with the cold water to really make sure that soda ash is gone. Just in case, I don't want to take any soda ash into the washing machine because I don't want the dark color to redeposit onto the light color. I usually don't have any problems, but if you rinse it really well, you shouldn't either. So once at the washing machine, I like to do hot water cycles using Kirillon. Kirillon is a professional textile detergent. And then I like to do a final hot water cycle using Millsoft. And Millsoft is a professional fabric softener. And I get both of those from Dharma Trading Company, and the links are down below in the description box. Then I'll put it in the dryer, and I'll iron it, and we'll come back and we'll see the results. Well, here it is, guys. Here's our rust orange spiral after it's been washed and dried, and I think the shirt turned out great. Having the 3 pieces of the pie creates a really hypnotic looking shirt. It sucks you right down into the center of that spiral. Now keep in mind you can do any colors that you want, but I'm swatching out one color to see what it's capable of. And it breaks down into like this really pretty golden, sort of like a golden brown. It almost looks like the color like when you are roasting a marshmallow and it gets that really pretty golden color to it. That'd be a good name for it, roasted marshmallow. So I don't know what you would call that color, but that's what it reminds me of. Maybe that's where it gets the name of the rust, because it's rusty and orange. A great fall color. It reminds me a lot of Pagoda Red off the regular Dharma dye list. It's not exactly the same, but very similar. So if you have Pagoda Red, you might get, a similar look. I think this would be really pretty, maybe with teal blue as a contrast color. I think that might make a really nice, like, earth tone geode. Try that out, you guys. So overall, I'm really pleased with the way the shirt turned out. I think rust orange is a pretty color. What do you guys think of rust orange? Please leave me a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, leave a thumbs up, and click the bell and set it to all. That way you get notified of future uploads. And remember, have fun tie-dyeing!